All right, call the meeting to order. Looking for a verification of public notice and approval of the agenda with two amendments. We're going to remove G1, and we're going to add IB15, which is the employment of a teacher at Riverview Elementary. So looking for verification of the public notice and approval agenda with those amendments.
So moved as amended.
Second.
A moment of silence to reflect on the business at hand. And now we come to the time where people may wonder, why is he running the meeting? We're electing officers tonight, and so at this time, from the board, I'm looking for nominations for the position of board president.
I'd like to nominate Nicole Lear for president.
Okay, we have a motion from Jeanette Tome for Nicole Lear as president.
I'll second that.
We have a second from Barry Mastercola for Nicole Lear as president. Any other nominations?
I'll make a motion to close nominations for president.
Then a nomination
Second.
to second. Motion and a second to close nominations. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Nicole Lear as president of the board, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
There you go, Nicole.
Right
Are you
along.
gonna keep taking paperwork for me? You're in yellow. I'm in yellow, okay. Open up for nomination for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Barry Mastercola.
I'll second that.
Motion by Jeanette, second by Karen for Barry Mastercola for vice president.
Move to close.
Second.
And we have a motion to close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Barry.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
You've done a great job, Barry.
Thank you. Lovely job.
All right. Open nomination for clerk.
I'll make a motion to nominate
Jeanette?
Jeanette Tome. My name.
I'll second. I'll make a motion to close.
Motion by Karen, second by Adam to close Barry, and then Dawn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Jeanette Tome.
She just had a moment.
We know that. Open for nominations for treasurer.
Nominate Karen Piaski for treasurer.
At least you knew her name. I have a motion for Karen Piaski for treasurer made by Jeanette. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, yeah. I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll move to close, sorry.
I'll second it.
Nomination for Karen Piaski, motion to close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Karen Piaski.
Nicole and Jeanette, before you leave tonight after our other meeting, we have a lot of things for you to sign.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Those nice teachers' contracts that are.
Item E, Watoma Area School District Strategic Plan, Mission Statement, creating positive foundations for the success of our children. Yep.
Business and community, business and community involvement through internships, job shadowing, and mentorship.
Develop marketing of the district and community through branding.
Improve work and people skills.
Develop parental contacts promoting school involvement.
Constructive relationship, mental field increase to support opening lines of communication to support children with mental health issues.
Item F, or recognition of persons wishing to address the board. Anybody wishing to address the board? No? Okay. Item G2, Watoma High School Baseball Press Box, the project proposal.
So Jess Johnson, who's the varsity baseball coach of the high school baseball team, approached me, wanted to meet about him. It's been over a month ago. And so he and I, Mr. Beatty, Mr. Vaughn, Mr. Steffens, the head custodian of the high school, and then Wayne Craig, met to sort of just listen to the proposal. And so the visual that you have here is actually at Winneconne. And so this is just a rough estimate of what the building would look like. There will not be bleachers in front of it, but this is the structure of what it would be: 2 stories, stairs going up, an overhead door in the back type thing. It would, obviously these would be the colors that would be used. It would be try to be matched as closely to that concession stand as possible with vinyl siding, not wood. So the details of the project, and we'll get a little more deeper into this, but 20 by 24 base floor storage, 8 foot by 24 second floor press box, vinyl siding, rock border at the bottom to match the concession stand, metal roof, concrete foundation, overhead garage door, entry door, composite outside stairway, electrical, and a sound system to be put in. The cost of the project, as of when we talked, so who knows what that is now, total material cost was $32,700. That included $28,000 for basic building materials, $1,200 for cement, $1,500 for wiring, $1,000 for the overhead garage door, $1,000 for the sound system. Labor costs similar to that, $32,700 for a total of $65,400. Mr. Johnson had indicated that construction and electrical labor would be in-kind donation of time, so that's $32,700 of the project, or half. The Coates family would like to donate $12,000 to the project. Little League would donate $4,000 to the project. The Booster Club would donate $4,000 to the project. Drexel Building would donate $5,000 to the project. Then Watoma would be left over with the school district would be left over with $7,700. It could come from Community Fund 80, which is a fund that we can levy because it is a facility that's used by the community, not just the school system. Presenting that obviously at the May meeting, I would bring it back as an action item at the June 22nd board meeting. If approved by the Board of Education, the construction would take place during late summer, early fall. Some miscellaneous things would be a donor's plaque placed on the new construction. All builders and electricians are LLC. Other potential laborers include current baseball players and alumni baseball players. Current building behind the backstop that's there now would be moved to the JV baseball diamond for storage. The current building west of the batting cages would be sold or destroyed. Someone said Ian Zertler might like it for a chicken coop. It's in bad repair. I'll let you figure out who said that out loud. And then there's another small shed that is by the old tennis courts. That would also be destroyed. Wayne is cleaning that out as we speak. So that would really only leave the press box and then the small building that Joe Anklem had built recently, where the pitching machine goes into, right there by the bank. We will submit for a building permit, but we do not need to have drawn building plans to proceed with this, just the permit. Getting building plans obviously would increase the cost. The district would be the fiscal agent for this because it only makes sense that if you're gonna have people donating, you're gonna want a central hub, that would be us for the donations to come into. And then obviously we would make sure that Dan Steffens and Wayne Craig are in continual communication with the builders on the project.
Sounds great to me.
So it's a proposal for now. If you guys are okay, I'll bring it back as an agenda item.
For what's gonna cost us, I mean.
Yeah, for right now, it looks like $7,700. I
Bring
mean,
that down.
you know, I know how that goes. Sometimes it always ends up being, usually it doesn't end up being less than that. But you know, we'll still for the overall total of the project is a decent amount. And it gets, and I like, not only does that look nice, but I like getting rid of some of those other buildings out there. I mean, Wayne did a nice job of putting the white siding on those 3 buildings that are by the outfield fence. They look decent now, but those little sheds that we bought a long time ago from, I don't know if it was the gentleman on County F, but you know, they're all decayed on the bottom and they just need to go away. Okay. No other questions for me?
No question.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to item H, administrative reports. Tom, anything more to add to your report?
Yeah, I just want to again congratulate Doug Beatty on hopefully becoming the principal of Parkside School tonight. You know, he's a great part of our administrative team, and to allow him to go to that next level with them stepping down to teach it just makes us stronger as an administrative team. So we're really happy about that. And secondly, I'd like to just thank Ms. Anna Peterson for her time served for the last 2 years. Katie and I looked it up, Anna, and I think I'm correct. I think you only missed one time for volleyball in your junior year, which is pretty amazing, like through COVID and everything else that's gone on, that you've been consistent. You've always handled yourself professional, and thank you. You've been a great representative.
Anna, have you made more meetings than your father in the last 2 years? She's made more meetings than you have in 2 years.
Yeah,
No, I
no
only
doubt
missed
about
one.
that.
I missed the same one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, check
Get
the
a
tape.
doubles contribution. Get a doubles contribution to scholarship. The scholarship.
All right.
The child.
Uh-huh. We'll go with our host for this evening. Deb, anything to add?
Just our new hire, so hopefully.
Let's do the quiz. Let's do the quiz. One of you is Sam. Somebody is Sophie. And somebody is Fallon.
So we're excited about our new hires.
Good. Welcome. Jim.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. All right. Jen from the high school.
Tom took my fire, so I just won't have a problem if you deny the request for Mr. B to leave. But no, we wish him well. He'll do great things. He's been a great asset to the high school, so I know he'll move on to do great things. And same thing for Anna. Like I said,
Yep.
still my thunder, but she's done a great representative for us. So we thank her. We'll miss her. So.
Yeah. All right. Doug, the current assistant at the high school. Anything to add?
Nothing to add at this
Okay.
time.
All right. Mr. Vaughn.
Don't just continue to say thank you to the groundskeepers, the transportation guys with all the changes. Dave was gone. Clyde did a fantastic job. He's saved me a couple times just because of all the changes. So again, if you do see those people that nobody sees out front, that's all the behind scenes. Again, make sure you thank those guys because we were able to play. I mean, we got double-digit games in the spring when other teams are playing 5 games. We got double-digit games. So just make sure to thank those guys. Because they've been doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
Good. Awesome. Jewel, anything to add?
Nope, nothing at this time.
All right. Caitlin.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Cindy.
Nope.
All right. Sierra. Where's Sierra? Hi.
Just a reminder, if you want to join us for the Mentor end of year celebration next week on Thursday from 4 to 5 at KRB. So we'll treat you to dinner. You can rub shoulders with our new staff and mentors if you can make it. So just a reminder to let me know if you'd like some time.
And Eric.
Nothing at this time.
All right. Sounds good. Moving on to item I, consent agenda. Item 1, minutes. Oh, sorry. So I'm just jumping ahead. I'm excited. And we're going to give you one. Yeah.
Congratulations, Kurt.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay. At the last meeting on April 11th, we had 22 members attend. Committee chairs reported on accomplishments and the status of upcoming events. We had our final community blood drive of the year on April 13th. We continued our discussion on homecoming, senior send-off, WASD Character Day, and our organization shirts for this year. Staff Appreciation Week took place on May 1st, and it was successful. Monday we decorated doors, Tuesday we handed out goodie bags, and Friday we did a catered lunch from Moose Inn. I think the teachers enjoyed it. WASD Character Day planning will continue with leaders for that are Alyssa Szymanski and Miss Phillips. The 2022 homecoming dress-up days will be determined by April. I'm not sure if we determined that. The co-chairs for that are Abby Peterman and Megan Kelly. The t-shirt planning is finished. I don't think seniors got that. I think it's just something. I'm a little hurt, but that's fair. And then projects for 2022 to 2023 school year will be determined in May. Membership applications were distributed, and officer selection will take place at the end of the school year. Board reporting student feedback is myself and Kylie, who's not with us tonight. And student council officers are providing additional support to committee chairs. With it being my last meeting, I want to say thank you again for this opportunity, and I've learned a lot of valuable life lessons. So thank you.
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you. Board members, anything to add? I had the opportunity to take Miss Dawn Peterson, go with her down for her initiation meeting?
Yeah, it was
initiation, I don't know what it was,
initiation.
right? Anyways, so I'm bringing back just a couple things later on in our, at the end of the meeting and so forth, but I think she learned a lot. I learned some new things too, so it was great. But yeah, it was fun. It was, yeah.
Just a brief comment, and Adam brought it up, it reminded me, I was with the bus drivers, and I know we went through the whole situation here and looked at maybe outsourcing our buses a couple years ago, and decided not to do that. And there are a number of other districts that are just getting hammered. They can't, there are parents driving track athletes to invitationals, because even where there are buses, there are no drivers.
Yeah.
So a lot of districts are saying, sorry, the track team can't go to the invitational unless you can get a group of parents driving. So now you bring in liability there and waivers and all that nonsense, so I think,
And they've
I
been
know
doing
it was
a good job at taking their route, and other schools we're adjusting times, but they're doing double duty. And again, Dave and Clyde have been doing working all of those moving pieces, so it's been a real blessing sometimes.
I'm sure it's still not easy,
Right.
but if it's not in-house, we don't have control over it. Right? We would be in the same boat as all these other districts, so thank goodness we are where we are.
Well, I think the board, in that respect, I think the board's taking care of the bus drivers. I mean, the proposal for next year and the route pay to events there and back is going to be huge. I mean, they're already talking about that. I think it's going to keep people on board. And we talked about Mr. Bagnall resigned as a teacher, but he stayed on as a bus driver. Yeah, so we're like, hey, that's all right.
Kind of a funny story, I was following a group of parents that had the pole vault, the poles on top of their Suburban, and they fell off.
No, those are expensive.
Those are expensive. Side of I-39. Right?
Those are, we got a couple outside, they're old,
I have a rummage sale.
All right, moving on to item I, consent agenda. Item 1, minutes from the item A, April 11th, 2022 monthly meeting.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Adam, second by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, staffing. I'll entertain a motion to take item 2A, 1 through 6, and item B, 1 through 15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ross, second by Barry. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You're official. Yep.
Congratulations.
And you dumb too.
No way, Doug. Congratulations.
All right. Item J, action items. Item 1, business and finance. Item A, approve the April 2022 treasurer's report.
Make a motion that you approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Motion by Tom, second by,
Recommendation by me. I'm sorry, I can't make a motion.
I recommend
to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
Ross.
I thought I was still in charge.
Ross made the
Change the rule,
motion.
in this one meeting, it doesn't say.
Is this our first rodeo?
I gotta check our handbook here in a second.
Motion by Ross, second by Dawn. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1B, approve the vouchers and payroll.
Recommend if the board approve vouchers and payroll as presented.
So move to approve. Second.
Motion by Adam, second by Barry.
Correct.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I hope Eric does some editing of this. Item C, approve the elimination of the student registration fees for the 2022-2023 school year.
Again, with the ESSER funds that we have through 2024, we had asked the finance committee, or recommend to the finance committee that we approve the elimination of student fees. Again, we don't know about meals yet, and again, if students are damaging things or failing dual credit courses, they will still have to pay for those things. But those upfront fees for athletics or just to go to school, again, eliminating those for at least one more year.
So move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Barry, second by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like that to be the headline in the Argus. The board voted to eliminate the fees.
That's really.
Yeah.
You got it.
That's good. Yeah. Item 2, policy. Item A, approve revised policy 5330, administration of medication emergency care, second consideration.
So again, this is the addition of the opioid antagonist into our administration of medication emergency care, second consideration. So again, unless the board has any other questions, I would recommend for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Adam, second by Ross. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, approve the revised policy 5722, school-sponsored publications and productions, first consideration.
I had alluded to this policy maybe a couple months ago, and nationwide there's this overarching concern about student freedom of speech and in school publications or in school items. And so obviously the lawyers got on that right away and made sure to create a breadth of policy, and it sort of goes from being super restrictive to being wide open, and kids can put stuff in the school newspaper and it can go out into the public and it doesn't matter what it says, to sort of moderate where you're allowing students to have voice. It's really in a non-public forum, and you're trying to teach them about freedom of speech and expression, but doing it in a sort of a managed manner by whether it be advisors, like yearbook advisor, whether it be by an English teacher, or journalism teacher. So I met with Jennifer and Eric Highlander on this policy, and we made it real middle of the road. We still want to give our students experiences in writing and sort of having an opinion, but really it's for a school forum, not a public forum. And so that's how this policy is written. And so I'm looking for approval for first consideration.
Obviously, everything would go through, like you said, the supervisors for any type of editing or anything like that.
Correct, yeah, they would.
Yes.
It's just a reference to it.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, second by Barry. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approve the revisions to policies 2431, 2440, 2623, 5230.01, 5410, 5421, 5430, 5451.001, 5451.02, 5460, first consideration.
So I know Jeanette's getting ready to go to a training, and I'm not sure if anybody else is going on board governance. This is truly good, excellent. This is truly board governance because, we're looking at target-based grading moving forward. It's been, I think, 6 years. We've been working on this, getting the curriculum in line, the instructional targets in line, the assessments in line. It's been piloted. So then the next step is then to change policy or to modify policy to meet the structure. So as a board, what you're doing is you're modifying policy to implement target-based grading. So all these policies are impacted by target-based grading. So that's what you have in front of you for first consideration. I don't know if you want me to go through the policies at all, or if you want to look at them now, first consideration, come back to me second consideration with any questions. But you can see things that are stricken in the policies. You can see things that are added. You can see that some of these policies, there's a part that applies to the class of 2023. It remains in effect. And then there's another part of the policy that's class of 20, and by class I mean graduating class of 2024 and beyond. So we kept some things in there. The reason I'm bringing this to you now is we didn't want the graduating class of 2022 to be impacted by this policy change. So by the time you do second consideration, they're going to be graduating and gone. So that's why we waited until May and June. Otherwise, we would have done this last fall to make this happen. But so again, all these policies have been impacted in some way. Some of them very minor, like one sentence. But the grading policy, obviously, greatly impacted. Dawn Peterson had indicated to me she watched the video that Mr. Beatty did on target-based grading, and so that was very helpful to her. That's on our website if you want to ever watch that video. His voiceover very similar to Morgan Freeman. Does a nice job.
I didn't catch that.
That's right. So anyway, any questions for me now on this, or do you want me to go through these?
Yeah, we all like to read
And again, when we come back for second consideration, you don't have to approve it until you have questions answered on these. But it's nice, this is policy is usually not that much fun. This is fun because this is true board governance. Like, you're really making change to a structure through board policy. That's exciting to me.
I move to approve the first consideration.
Second.
Motion by Adam, second by Barry. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, negotiations personnel. Item A, approve the creation of the school community relations coordinator position and job description, first and second consideration.
So when Katie was hired, she was hired obviously as the district administrative secretary. During that time, Katie's been doing a lot of other things that have to do with communication and public relations. That's never been in her job description though, and it's really never been delineated as far as time and all those type of things. So Katie did a lot of research, found out what some other districts have as far as a school community relations coordinator, sort of like public relations, where it uses her strengths in journalism and mixed media, and then also incorporates the district administrative secretary position towards the back, and sort of flips it. For those of you that know Katie well, she's very efficient, and so what became on the district administrative secretary job description really doesn't take her much time. But then she can use her other time to be after school, trying to capture what's going on in our district, getting it onto social media, promoting it through the Argus. I know Haley and Mary Kunash has really given Katie sort of a conduit to get photos and articles to the Argus, because they're very busy at the Argus trying to keep up with everything. So that's what this position entails. So it's really using Katie's strengths to promote the district. It does align with Focus 2025 also, with trying to brand our school district. So I would recommend the approval first and second consideration.
I would so move.
To accept her as the person for that job.
Motion by Karen,
I'll second.
second by Barry. Any further discussion?
You're the right person for the job, there's no doubt about it.
That's for sure.
She's awesome.
Well,
It took you a little bit.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Item B, approve the creation of a middle school musical director extracurricular position.
Okay, so I'm requesting this of the board for this month. We've offered for 4 years a middle school musical. But if you try to recollect the 4 musicals, we haven't had 4, we've only had 2. So 4 years ago, May McKinney, our choir director, choir teacher, organized a middle school musical. It was Milan Junior. And if you attended that, anyone attend that? It was fantastic. The kids had a great time. They put in a lot of time and effort. The teacher went above and beyond to make that happen. The next year, kids were super excited. They were already rehearsing and practicing. They had everything set, and then COVID hit, so they did not get to do their performance. Last year, we didn't even have anything in the works because of COVID, and then this year, they put on the next musical. It was Guys and Dolls Jr. Anybody see that one? No? Oh, it was fantastic. Comments that I heard from the community were that the middle schoolers, like if you didn't know they were middle schoolers, you would have thought they were high schoolers. It was such a quality performance. The kids were so excited they'd stay after school. It was another club or organization. I gave goosebumps even thinking about it, just what this meant to our kids. They really enjoyed it. So the extra time that Ms. McKinney put into this was just shy of 80 hours. She kept track of it all just so that I was aware of it. I had requested her to do that. We had 15 students on cast and we had 1 student on stagecraft. And the hope is that we can continue to offer this. So this month I'm coming to you requesting that we create the extracurricular position of a middle school music director. Next month I would come to you in hopes of filling that position. We do have someone in mind, obviously, so you're not creating a position.
So historically, this did exist at one time, and then the person who was in the position that May's in didn't want to do a musical, so it went away, and so then it was eliminated. So it did used to exist. They used to have middle school musicals. Then there was a period of time that there wasn't because people didn't want to put the time. May's willing to put the time in, again, at getting kids involved in an activity. So.
I'm going to assume the salary's in line with our other extracurricular.
Yeah.
For supervisory hours.
Something that would be similar in that time frame.
Sure.
That's what we looked at, especially at the middle school level.
Yeah. I'd move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion by Adam, second by Ross. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approve the creation of an esports spring advisor extracurricular position.
So we are seeing an increase in the kids that want to play esports. There's two programs that they play, or kind of games they compete against. One's in the fall, one's in the spring. The time involved is pretty similar for the coaches. Right now, Josh Barker takes the fall one, Eric Foster's been also assisting throughout the year. So instead of having Josh cover both, we thought it'd be easier to just have two different positions so they can both take head, because they, as Josh gave me the information, they're both doing similar jobs, one in the fall, one in the spring, that is very similar to what a coach would do. Each night after school, competitions, all those things, lining things up with other teams, and obviously we've seen some success. I think this year they finished second, but they've done very well. So this would come from a building budget to cover this, very similar to what Josh gets, because the time is very similar.
I think what's crazy about this too, and there's a scholarship money that's available to these e-sport athletes. I mean, I think Lakeland College is one of the biggest, and that's where I think Amon Green is the coach. But just the amount of money they're able to get to go to college if they're part of this, because the workforce is looking for these type of individuals who can think quickly and work in a fast-paced team atmosphere. I think that's just still boggles my mind.
Yeah.
I was in a training in the classroom right next to them. And finally, we just stopped and said, what is going on next door? And that's what it was.
Yeah.
And the kids were like thoroughly enthused and engaged and having a
Yeah,
much better
similar
time
to
than
an
we were.
Yeah. How young?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd move to approve the creation of that position as well.
I'll second it.
Motion by Adam, second by Dawn. Any further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, approve the increase in support staff hours for supervision purposes.
So I currently have 4 support staff that are at 8 hours. I'd like to make one more for a total of 5 to be 8-hour employees for supervision purposes, mainly for our 4-year-old program. So we hired our 4-year-old aide last summer, and we temporarily tried her at 8 hours, and I'd like to make her permanently 8 hours for supervision.
Are we saying relatively stable numbers in 4K or growing, declining?
They fluctuate throughout the years. Right now, they are my largest class sizes in the school. They're sitting at 19, 20 kids in every session, so about 60 kids.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve that as well.
I'll second it.
Motion by Adam, second by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, Board Governance. Number 1, discussion only, Regranite Elementary Special Education Programming.
I did put a new document in front of you. You have one in your packet, but that one, I had to make some changes. I'll explain why. So you have a new one in front of you. So believe it or not, it was 3 years ago when we talked about this, about special education program, and I told you that I would keep tabs on it, see like if we had some younger student population that was coming through Red Granite that was qualified for special education programming. So right now for next year, just to sort of go through with you, but we have potentially a 3-year-old that could benefit from some time with our early childhood program at Red Granite. We have 1 kindergartner who qualifies for special education, and these students all live within the Red Granite boundary. 1 first grader, 1 second grader. This was sort of the impetus was this: we have 2 second graders who currently attend Red Granite who are going to qualify for special education. We have 2 second graders who are already at Riverview Elementary. We have 2 fourth graders and 1 fifth grader. So out of this pool of students, I would say the kindergartner, the first grader, definitely the 2 second graders, and I would say at least 1 other student we know for sure would want to stay in Red Granite and attain special education services there. The other 5 we haven't contacted those individuals, and if we were to move forward with this, obviously we would. I feel like we're at the point, because of what funding we have available, federal funding, to take that opportunity to try to keep these kids in their home school at Red Granite, especially at the age that they are, and make that recommendation with some caveats, though, okay, on this recommendation, because as you know, special education teachers are difficult to find. So I would like to come back to the next board meeting in June with a recommendation to hire a full-time special ed teacher at Red Granite, again, funded with federal funding, not state funding. However, if you do approve, we would post after that meeting in June. If we find a suitable candidate before August 1st, 2022, we would notify all the K-5 students in special ed, so these kids here. The special education program would take place at Red Granite for all students who reside within the Red Granite boundaries. However, if we don't find a suitable candidate by August 1st, we would notify the K-5 students they would have to continue with their special education services continue or start their special education services at Riverview or continue at Parkside School for 4th and 5th grade. So there's a lot of ifs in there. I initially was interested in having Sarah Christians, who's a 4K teacher at Red Granite, in the morning. She is licensed in special education, pre-K through 3rd grade. However, as I talked to Kate a little bit more, there's a couple items there. One is there'd be a lot on her plate to take care of. 2 is we have 24 Kers in the queue at Red Granite right now. So if we get a few more 4Kers at Red Granite, we're going to have 2 sessions of 4K at Red Granite, so an AM and a PM. And if that occurs, then Sarah's off the table, because she would have to service those kids both ways. So to me, Sarah is like a wild card in a way, is that if we only need an AM session of 4K, she could assist the special education teacher as needed in the afternoons to provide some support, especially with those younger kids, because that's her strength. We do have 1 room that's available for special education services at Red Granite to provide these services. Any student in these programs who needs occupational therapy or physical therapy, CSFI would have to go out there and provide that. That would be an additional cost for us, for them to go out there. Speech already goes out to Red Granite, so that would not be an additional cost for speech to go out there. So that's the information I have. Again, I would like to come back and make the recommendation and try, especially with these younger students that we have here, and especially with 2 3rd graders who've had their whole career at Red Granite, but now they're going to qualify. They're 2nd graders right now, so they'll be in 3rd grade next year, and to keep them at Red Granite, as well as the kindergartner, to try to get the kindergartner there, the 1st grader. And again, I know for sure that we will at least get 1 more student based on families reaching out to us, not us reaching out to them. The 4th and 5th grader, I don't know. You know, they've been at Riverview and Parkside their whole career. Their families may say that's our friends or here, but so highest caseload as it looks right now would be 10. I think the lowest caseload that it would be is 5, and that's barring any move-ins that could occur, which there's probably a strong possibility of at least 1 moving in, based on history.
Say you move forward and we'll get us some information for next time. We'll post it.
Yeah, any discussion, any other thoughts? Barry's saying bring it forward and post it and see, see what happens. I could even have Caitlin do an external posting tomorrow just to start getting a pool of candidates. And then if you guys do approve it in June, she doesn't have to wait a whole other month.
I'd rather see that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. Internally, we can't post it until after, but that's a pretty short window. That Primo's talked about. No.
I'll take it.
Doug beat you said no.
Doug's like, no.
Doug said he.
Any other? I know this was a well-discussed topic last time.
Yeah.
And really the reason that we didn't move forward with it is we didn't have students who were qualifying at Red Granite, and a lot of the students were older, so they had been at Riverview and Parkside. Again, I'm bringing this back because I told you I would. That if I saw this, that if there are any younger students like that 3-year-old that's coming up through the system, the kindergartner, the 1st grader, and then the 2 current 2nd graders who are going to qualify, who've been going to Red Granite for the last 3 years.
No questions for me. I'm the one that kind of pushed in the beginning, and I'm still an advocate that no matter if you're identified, you shouldn't have to move a building because you're identified. And since it's coming from the idea, federally funded program and so forth, we would be doing a disservice if we didn't try to provide, or do the best we can to provide services for the students there. So I'm a huge advocate for this.
And you're seeing direct focus from the state level to the special needs. I mean, they're trying to make more funds available, so, I mean, I think they're doing the right thing by moving forward on that.
And again, you know, we'll just have to be very communicative with the families. I mean, like, hey, we found somebody good for you. Who would like to be there? We know, again, there's 5 for sure. Who else would like to stay, you know, at their home school? But if we don't find someone, then we're gonna have to deliver the news and just say, listen, like, you're gonna have to go to Riverview and Parkside. We can't find services, but we have to provide service. I know there's one family, and this family has no idea that we're even talking about this, but they told Caitlin, said, if you know, my child qualifies, they're one of the ones that might qualify, said that if my child qualifies and there aren't services or be able to be had here, and this is not in a threatening manner by any means, was just like, I'm gonna deny special ed services, like I just want my child to stay with a granted. And so, you know, so you sort of, they do want their kids to stay, you know, where their siblings are.
How much space do we have in that building overall? Like, so I hear that we have 20 kids in 4K potentially.
Yeah.
Right, granted. So if we get 3 4K move in, 23 kids, I assume that we're starting to look at maybe 2 kindergarten classes
Same room.
in the same
Yeah,
room.
they don't
It's
need
23.
It's pretty tight over there.
No,
Yeah,
it's a-
no, I see what he's saying. He's saying the next year
He's
that
saying next
when they
year.
go to 4K to kindergarten, you have 23 kids.
Yeah, but yeah.
They're
Right.
made
The
for that.
kindergarten room is big. I think, Adam, what you see there is we may have to hire additional staff.
Yep.
Like an
okay.
aide, yeah.
But,
So
but we're fine on space.
yeah, the kindergarten room is actually one of the biggest rooms.
It is the biggest.
Yeah,
Okay.
it really is. So,
Yeah. Just
yeah. No, but I understand what you're saying. That is correct. I mean, yeah, 4K is not a big deal because if it gets too big, we can just divide it in 2
Yeah.
and do an AM, PM. But yeah, when they get, that's only good for 1 year. So.
So the only incremental cost to the district would be the contracts with CISA? Well, how does that differ from how we would do it today if it was at Riverview?
We'd have to pay for their, if they needed additional time to get out there and travel, like they would have to manipulate or modify the contract.
Well, we would have to pay for those special services if they were at Riverview
Well,
also.
yeah, right, yeah, correct.
Just
It's
be- so
it's
they're not gonna be
it's just going out there for whatever it takes them to get out there.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the special ed teacher would be an additional cost, but that would not come out of the general fund. And I'm saying this, I have to explain it, but we've had carryover an idea the past quite a few years, and the seems like the average carryover right now is right around $80,000 that we've been carrying over annually. $80,000 would cover obviously a teaching position with salary and benefits if we can find something.
So that fund that we would take that from, that 80,000 or whatever the carryover is, that can be spent for only special education?
Yes.
Only special education?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's that part of it is the federal funding of it, and you get it for 27 months. So we have carryover from 1 year to the next year to September of the next year. And so we have to use it in that time, and we always have. We have added more staff to it. And the one thing about this federal fund is you can put someone in at 1 year and take them out the next year. You can move people around in special ed, but it does have to be
So
special
there's no
ed.
maintenance of it.
That's only in the state.
Okay, perfect.
And if you look at the consistency of this setup, I mean, we can't get the rug pulled out from underneath us. So we have a situation where we have 3 kids in special ed at Red Granite and an $80,000 teacher.
Right. What do you mean?
But there's no maintenance of effort. I mean,
Yeah, so if we have to move, like we just say this, we just can't maintain, there's like 1 kid left, you know, and so we're like, okay, well, we're gonna move in, but we'll place the teacher in a different situation. Because right now, Jewel's down 2 special ed teachers. We're trying to find 1, she's trying to find 2. I mean, this is a very iffy situation. Like, it's really going forth with what's best faith effort to try to service these kids. The probability they're gonna be going to Riverview and Parkside next year, I would say, is very high. Just trying to find somebody. Unless the special ed teachers
I know
out,
wonderful
you know, they like
person to
Kayla a
work
lot better than they like
for.
Jewel, you know, out there. Word's gotten out. Yeah. No, so what you're saying, Ross, is, I mean, historically, that funding has not gotten reduced.
No.
In fact, it has gone up.
It usually
from
goes
the
up
federal
every
government,
year.
for the idea of funding.
And we started using more of it the last few years because we started putting more staff in it. Before this, we always kind of shied away from that because when it's paid, when staff is paid for with that, you don't get the state reimbursement on those funds. But I learned over the last few years that you only get 25 cents on the dollar with, from the state for reimbursement. So why keep this money, this, you know, at the time it was almost $400,000, carrying over $150,000 every year. But we were always gonna have some more money. It was always like almost like a savings account within it, but we weren't using it for the kids who it was there for.
Well, I think you said it best, Cindy, is we were, and again, this is pre-me, but we were so focused on that 26 cents on the dollar, 22 cents on the dollar, of getting money back from the state, that we were using the federal funding just to buy stuff. But we don't need any more stuff. So like Cindy stated, why are we hiring people to help kids out of this money and not worry about 22 cents or 26 cents on the dollar and use this? And so that's where we made that decision.
So I'm guessing none of us were here when the decision was taken to have special education only at Riverview, right? So that decision was taken, why? For economies of scale, right?
Yeah,
There weren't enough kids.
Right.
So basically, econ.
Yep.
So I guess the only issue would be is if we do this and we get these kids doing it and that number falls to 2 or 1 or 3 or whatever the tipping point is, you know, is it tougher than to say, okay, you had it for 2 years and now it's going to, now you have to go to review. It's just the only.
I think it's worth, in my opinion, I think it's worth trying with this group
Okay.
of kids. And then if it goes low like that, at least we can say, hey, listen, for those 10 kids or 6 kids or whatever, we did try to do our best. And I mean, just numbers went down, and so we have to make a decision. And you know,
I agree completely.
There's other solutions. It's not necessarily meaning just moving the kids back. Like Sarah right now works in my building in the morning, and she goes to Head Start in the afternoon, and uses that SPED license to service those kids. So we could use that teacher flexibly that way too. They're servicing our kids for an hour or so, whatever it is, and then going to Riverview and helping out there too.
And I think educators and taxpayers and parents and students all love the idea, the reason why you would put it at Red Granite. I think at some point, if those economies of scale aren't there, the taxpayers are going to say, why are we doing that?
and we'll just try to use that person better.
Yeah, okay.
You go to the delegate assembly, which I've been to, and the hottest topic every year now is special needs children, making sure that the money is made available and it's increasing that money. So that is not going anywhere. In the last 5 years, that's been one of the hottest topic at the delegate assembly. So I guarantee you that focus is there. It's not going nowhere.
So I'll bring it back at the June meeting, and Kaylin, you can post externally.
So we have posted currently then, well, no, we will have posted 3.
Yeah, Jewel has,
positions.
Jewel has 2 posts as well.
I have 1 posted, it's been posted, and then I have 1 will probably be a transfer coming up here in June.
Sure.
So then I'll have another open.
Okay. So it could potentially be 3 openings.
Barry, if you need a job, be a special openings here, you can be a teacher.
Well, Jewel.
We're granted, it's right by where you live.
It is right.
Case manager.
Barry, you'd be great for my kids.
You'd be great. Barry,
Your kids would learn the zero from the
Right.
So
My drooling is always been a problem.
highly recommended. All right. 4-year-old.
That's a good with the extra.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Item 2, discussion only, policy 0167.3, public comments at the board meetings. So one thing is, in front of you, you see your name tags have on the back side now something that Dawn and I were introduced to from a board member at her, for the new board members. It's just, we haven't had a problem with this at all. I just thought it was a cool idea, but the reason why we're all here is, you know, what's best for kids. Which led into, at this meeting, something that is just a reminder. It's not really about us, because nobody here, I think, has had issues with it or anything, but it's more for the public to understand. This last year had a lot of controversy in a lot of school districts. We've been blessed with a wonderful community, staff, board, and so forth. We haven't had to endure that. But they did a reminder at this meeting for the new board members, because there was a lot of confusion, because I think the new board members were the ones coming to board meetings and speaking public comments, and their question was, why doesn't the board answer me? Why doesn't the board answer me? This is so rude, so rude. he gave a really good example why and so forth. So we obviously know masks were a hot topic this last year. So let's take that for example. Somebody comes to the public comment part and they put down they want to discuss masks. And they could state there in our board or on our district it's 3 minutes. The thing is though, once you entertain and start going back and forth and masks are not on our agenda per se, we have violated the open meetings law that the community, somebody in the community heard, oh my gosh, you were talking about the masks, I wanted to be a part of that. Now, if the person talked about masks for their 3 minutes and it was on our agenda, he still said, you do not entertain with usually that back and forth type of piece because it might be a heightened situation and you need that time to kind of calm it down. But also when we get to masks in the agenda, you are still not to discuss with the people that are there observing because basically after public comment, this whole wonderful audience is here to observe us having a meeting and discussion. So for Dawn and I, it was good information for us, but what we noticed in the room, a lot of people were there and it finally answered to them. I come to these board meetings and they don't answer my questions and so forth, that's just so rude. We can't. We legally cannot because if we start to discuss something and somebody in the community finds out about that, we have then violated the posted agenda, the topics we're going to cover. So there's a legality reason why we do that. So I just wanted to bring that up just for information. Again, we have a wonderful community board member and administration that there's never been an issue, but I thought that'd be a good piece just to kind of remind everybody about that.
I think a good example of that is fall 2020 when actually one of our employees brought in, he concerned about those masks and what was on the masks and brought some literature. And you guys didn't comment on it, you just sort of deferred it to me. I did the research with Nurse Carey. I responded in a document saying in the letter explaining that those aren't the masks that we use and everything's safe and we're good and we move forward. But yeah, you guys didn't engage. Some boards would engage in that and could end up being an argument. That did not occur.
The other thing too, I've seen Evan, which is kind of geeky. I watch other board meetings just to kind of see what we're doing and keep us in check. And I have noticed some violations that they'll get to a board agenda item in the middle of it, and I've seen a board member in this discussion. So no, you're violating that because then that question discussion could go into something else, which then violates what we posted our whole thing to be around and so forth. So just information only. Any comments or thoughts? All right. Moving on. Item 3, discussion only, selection of the finance committee members. We usually have 3 people from our board that are on that. And so I'm first going to ask Adam and Karen if you'd like to stay on there. You've been on there. You would love to, he said?
Yes.
Karen would love to. And then I heard Dawn got to be a substitute. So if nobody else would inquire, I'd like to ask Dawn if you'd like to be on the finance. Unless somebody else would like to. Ross, Barry, Jeanette?
Dawn's turn.
No.
He's doing a great job.
Good. All right, so we have our 3 members. Thank you, Adam, and Karen, and Dawn. Item 4, discussion only, selection of the WASB delegate and alternates. So Barry, you've been our delegate. Would you like to maintain being the delegate?
I like going
You like
to.
to, okay, and then Adam, were you our alternate?
Yes.
You like to do it still?
And if you'd like to go, you're welcome.
You guys can be a little partnership there? Okay, all right, so we have 2 little partners there. Great. I'm a little worried, but we'll be okay.
Yeah, we can change the whole look on this.
Okay, so thank you, gentlemen. All right, item 5, discussion only, appoint a PAC representative. I believe Karen Piaski has done that. Karen, would you love to do that?
Oh, I'm just more than, it'll be probably my
It gives her something to do.
27th year.
It gives her something to do. Okay, anybody else would like that instead? Barry?
No, she's done it.
Thank you. Ross wants to, but I won't.
I'm pretty excited about it, but I
know.
think Karen will outperform me in that.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, legislative update. Barry, what do you have for us?
Basically, I talked to our Senator Balwick today, and there wasn't much to really bring up. They're just pushing the point of ESSER funds as far as the COVID, catching kids up on COVID that have fallen behind in COVID. That was basically the biggest issue. And just let us know that in 2023, the new legislative maps came out, and that the village of Red Granite, Lowerville, Mount Morris will be in the 24th Senate District. And the 72nd Assembly District, most of Watoma School District is currently in those legislative districts. And really, the ESSER plan, that was really the only thing. They haven't been in session, so there hasn't been a lot of discussion. I don't know if Tom stays on top of everything. I don't know if our administrator is.
No, I just think that we talked about that there's going to be a lot of turnover in midterm. We're getting close to 40 from the Assembly and the Senate that are just not running again. So it'll be intriguing to see what occurs.
Definitely be new faces.
Yep.
All right. Item 7, discussion only, nominee for the Region 10 WASB Board of Directors interim. So, Tom, you want to explain this more?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they need the WSB needs someone to be a representative of Region 10 on an interim basis. So they were just asking school districts if they wanted to nominate somebody from their board. Doesn't mean that person's going to be the interim. They're going to be up against other people from Region 10. We don't have to nominate anybody, but they did reach out and asked, and I don't want to be that district.
So if anybody's,
Brian?
yeah, so if anybody's interested, you
Hard
can.
pass.
But like Tom said, we don't have to, so I do the paperwork. If somebody's interested, and I'll pass it on to Adam if he's interested.
That's the thing with your free time. You'd
I know, right?
Just cut it out. Just cut it. Cut it.
Yeah, he does.
Four retired people on this board.
We know.
Not me. I'm working for
All right,
Slave labor.
item L, board suggested future agenda items. Monthly meeting is on Monday, June 13th, 2022 at 6:15 PM in the Watoma High School Library. If you have any agenda items, please let Tom know. Item M, adjourn to close executive session for a hearing before the governmental body pursuant to the exception for the closed sessions under Wisconsin statute section 19.851A. Deliberation concerning a case which is in the subject of any quasi-judicial hearing before the board. And section 19.851F, consideration of financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons for the purpose of conducting a school expulsion hearing pursuant to the Wisconsin statute section 120.131C1 and take action as necessary. Jeanette, roll call.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Terry Masterful.
Yes.
Adam Henning.
Yep.
Nicole Lewis.
Yes.
Dawn Peterson. Yes. Jeanette Tome. Yes. Karen Gass.
We will quickly take our picture, and then Tom, where are we going for the meeting?
We're going to stay here.
We're gonna stay
Yeah,
here,
we're
so
gonna
we're
cut
gonna
all
take
the
a
way.
picture quickly.
We're right here.
Take